this morning as part of this very special gathering. What we witness is a gathering of some of the stakeholders that have been part of the extended Ross University family in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so I am delighted to be part of that. Ross came here, I'm advised, some 36 years, in 1982 or thereabout. And so it has been one of the longest participants in tertiary level delivery of education in St. Kitts and Nevis. And it brought with it in particular a new, if you will, base of support for our socioeconomic development, because with Ross, we began to engage in what one may consider to be educational tourism, and to develop in St. Kitts and Nevis a flagship for that support. As a result of Ross being the pioneer in this particular aspect of education, we were able to welcome and to provide support to a range of other deliverers of education, purveyors of education at the tertiary sector, catering largely for an overseas student body. Today, we boast of a foreign student base close to perhaps 5,000 by one count across Ross, Windsor, IUHS, the University of the Americas in Nevis, and several other smaller units. We have carved out as part of our plan for the future development of St. Kitts and Nevis that education and tertiary education will be an important plan of the expansion of the economy. And so we are open to welcome more schools of learning, more participants in the purveying of quality education in St. Kitts and Nevis. We have had a long experience, and we have learned quite a lot about the support mechanisms which are required if we are to competently deal with the issues that arise from the purveying of quality education in our beloved Federation. We say thank you to Ross for pioneering in this particular arena and for the longevity associated with its stay with us over 35 years and counting. Let's give them a round of applause. It has been a very beneficial experience on both sides. Ross has stood here because the people of St. Kitts and Nevis from day one stood beside and provided support to the investment of Ross in St. Kitts and Nevis. Ross has expanded its engagement in St. Kitts and Nevis, has over time become more of a model of a corporate personality with a social conscience. And critically, as we welcome foreign investment to our shores and to our region, we have to be increasingly aware about the corporate social responsibility trust of these entities. We understand that entities come by and large to make profits, but profits have to be done with a social conscience. It is a message not just to the foreign investor, but to the domestic investor as well, that they must come with an attitude of wanting to help the communities of which they are part grow and develop, become more prosperous and progressive. I think the outreach efforts and the collaborations which we have had with Ross University has in fact spoken to the reality that Ross is ever conscious of that. The outreach to our health centers, the outreach to our police, the partnerships that we have developed everywhere, the interests of your students in making their time and their expertise and experience available to the national community have all been applauded time and time again. We hope that we can look forward to a stronger presence of the Ross University over the coming 35 years. We really do look forward to that. And as someone who has been in Parliament now 25 years, I know 35 years is a very, very long time. 25 years have been for me, but we look forward with hope. And as I recollect and reflect upon my own journey of public service over the last 25 years, and today being the 29th, the very day in which the people of constituency number 7, faced with the choice, chose me to represent them, allow me to say the heartiest, loudest, and most sincere thank you to the good people of constituency number 7. Please give them a round of applause. Constituency 7 runs the gamut of districts, communities, from Bellevue, many of you may know as Blackrock. And that is where one of your senior officers with responsibility for outreach to government, public policy affairs, Mr. Veron Lake, hails from. So give him a round of applause. It includes my own hometown of Tabernacle Village. I don't see anyone here from Tabernacle. It includes Mansion Village, and I think Ross has been doing some work there in relation to the Estridge schools and in terms of traffic and so forth. But for Mansion, we have the Permanent Secretary of National Security, Mr. Osmond Petty. Let's give him a special hand of recognition. And I didn't see quite well. I now correct my vision. From Tabernacle, we have Jacqueline Brown, who is a senior officer of immigration. I'm happy that she is here. Christchurch, Molyneux, Phillips Village, Borio, Lodge Podrek, and Otleys make up the 10 districts in constituency number 7. Actually, at the far back too is another one from my constituency who works with Ross University. Veron, I mentioned you in your absence, but Miss Liebert, next day, give her a round of applause. So in a real way, the people of the country, and in some respect, the people from my constituency, have been integral part of the events relating to us. And of course, I thank them all for their contribution to the economic life of St. Kitts and Nevis and for their role in positive developments in the constituency. I want to say that we have offered really a home away from home to the people who come here. And everyone who visits St. Kitts and Nevis marvels not just at the physical beauty of the country, some of the virgin lands, the verdant greens that surrounds our inviting seas, etc., but the beauty within the people of St. Kitts and Nevis that make it so easy to engage them. When your university family suffered the challenges of natural disaster, hurricanes in particular in Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis was most willing to render assistance at a very difficult time for the entire region, but including St. Kitts and Nevis, which itself was adversely affected by hurricanes. We did that out of love. We did that because we understand that we must be our brother's keeper and our sister's keeper too in times of need. And we are happy that we were able for a considerable period of time at that moment of great anxiety to bring some relief to the student and faculty out of Dominica. And that they became engaged in St. Kitts and Nevis. And they are about to leave and then return with absolute love for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis in their heart. So we are happy that we have been able to be of assistance. It was a good feeling to hear the Ross persons before me speak to the high level of cooperation that had gone into creating a home here under tremendously difficult circumstances for our country and for those who were looking for an alternative place. I think that needs to be documented. Sometimes we take those kinds of initiative for granted. But here it was the smallest country in the Western Hemisphere with the most limited of human resources being called to the greatest order to respond. And we were able to do so. Not perfectly, and those with more resources than us have never responded perfectly in circumstances like these. I ask those in Puerto Rico who are still, despite their special association with the most powerful country in the world, dealing with recovery efforts, still waiting for electricity, still waiting to get normal passage to and fro. The smallest country with the most limited of human resources rose to the occasion and delivered. The professionalism that exuded and was exhibited everywhere speaks well to the high level of social capital in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and I want you to commend them. When we brought in our CMO to cabinet for a special meeting to see how this could be done without compromising the laws, compromising our integrity, compromising standards, compromising security, she brought her sharp mind, meticulous as it is to detail, to bear, heard of the problem, identified potential vulnerabilities, but we did not tarry long with regard to the challenges. We work on the fact that we want to make this work. And for every problem, there is a solution. Can we focus on the solution? Dr. Laws led a very successful engagement, and we praise her and thank her for her experience, vision, and passion for health delivery in the Federation. Could we again give her a round of applause? But it was really a team effort. We brought the persons from our port authority, SCASPA, in. Hear of their own concerns. Hear of the vulnerabilities. Bear in mind at every turn, whatever we did must never compromise security and safety. That was key. Do all that you can, but never compromise on safety and security, because that was not in the interest of St. Kitts and Nevis. That would not be in the interest of the students and faculty that were coming into our country. And we had several maneuverings, if you will, attempting to deal with some of the challenges of vessel adequacy, vessel type, vessel suitability with regard to our own waters and our own tides, and the fact that still we were in a vulnerable period. I want to say thank you to the chairman of SCASPA, Mr. Dan Camper, and his team, who went to work, attempted to find many solutions. Some of them were very challenging, because we had the challenge of new vessel coming in. We had the challenge of pre-existing commitments already made with our cruise ships, and which were critical to ensure in the long run that we maintain their confidence in the reliability of St. Kitts and Nevis as a cruise destination. In all of that, we were able for some, perhaps 3 months, to be able to provide education support for the students on sea. And I want us to record our appreciation to SCASPA for its work. Without going into further details, as I said, it was really a team effort. But health, of course, comes critically to mind. SCASPA comes critically to mind because they were major actors in terms of getting things done. Our solid waste people, and we could go on and on. But certainly, we also have to mention our immigration and our police and the national security apparatus that had to go to work to deal with increased personalities and increased vulnerabilities surrounding the, as it were, semi-permanent presence of a vulnerable group of new persons in the country in a sustained way. And I want to give our law enforcement a round of applause. The private sector is here, and there are several representatives of the private sector. They, of course, did their work, for this had to be a team effort, and so they did their work. But I was pleasantly taken aback in terms of the impact and the fact that people of St. Kitts and Nevis really saw this as an opportunity to serve, an opportunity to help, and an opportunity for business engagement. I want to mention Warner's One Stop, because I am a very good friend of Vinetta Laws. And when we would parley from time to time, she said, I have to go to the vessel for this particular moment. And I said, I didn't know that you do this kind of delivery. She said, we are treating them special. And I have to go down at the ship by this particular time to ensure that they get all of their clothing and attire and gowns ready. And we have been doing this special initiative for them. Give our private sector a round of applause. They put in extended hours, again, to make it work. So really there has been much love exhibited during the stay here. And I know that many of you have felt it and perhaps have reciprocated it. And I thank you for sharing our space in St. Kitts and Nevis. We certainly wish that we could have done more. But even if we had done more, there will always be room for more. For the reward for good work has always been more work to be done. I want to say thanks, though. In some respect, it's a bittersweet moment. Sweet that we have been able to do so much in such a short period of time. Sweet that we have been able to facilitate the relocation of an important socioeconomic partner in St. Kitts and Nevis, its wider family, having the safety and comfort and the enjoyment and security in this the land that we love. Bitter, if there is any, more sorrow and regret than bitter, that you are going elsewhere. I wish I could say that wherever you go, you will find people as warm and loving as those of us who are Kittitians and Nevisians. I would mislead you if I were to say so. But I take comfort that all the lovely relationships that you have developed here will endure in your next jurisdiction, and really wish you well there. Wish your faculty and students all the very best, and do hope that you will come back to be part of various activities in St. Kitts and Nevis. Finally, on that note of thank you, one of the key actors who had engaged the government repeatedly in terms of this relocation is Mr. Veron Lake at the back. And I want to thank him for being an outstanding representative of your entity here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I gather he now have more expansive powers, more power to him in relation to public affairs policy within the region. But I commend his interaction with us, his understanding of our own limits as a country and government, but importantly, he had always been a reliable advocate of your needs, your policies, your preference. We have had an outstanding partnership, and I hope over the future we could expand upon this, do more for each other for the mutual benefit of our peoples. May God bless us all. Thank you.